woke up on top of a pile of garbage. The piles of garbage towered over me, their putrid smell filling my nostrils. Plastic bags, old furniture, and rusted metal were just some of the items I could make out in the heap. The ground beneath my feet was unstable and soft, making it difficult to walk without slipping. In contrast to the garbage, the Great Wall was a towering monument, stretching up into the sky. It was made of a smooth, reflective metal that gleamed in the sunlight. Ava, in her ragged clothes, stood beside it, running her hand over its surface and examining it closely. None of our electronic devices worked when we came close to the Great Wall. Believers' drones or their huge iron drills couldn't break in, as the wall was protected by a powerful force field to prevent bomb attacks. I went over to Ava to check on her. She was fine. "When did you come here?" "I was looking for you for 4 days," she replied, her eyes filled with tears. "Wait, have I been passed out for 4 days?" I asked in shock. Ava remained silent and looked down at the ground. "What happened to us?" I asked, still trying to understand the situation. "After the attack, they caught me alive. I thought you were both dead." "I'm so glad you're alive." However, Carlson couldn't make it. They took his body away. They put me in a cage and accused me of betraying the believers. They were going to remove my eyes and hands, Ava exclaimed. "What? I can't believe these people are so crazy." "But you escaped, and you're safe now," I said, although I wasn't sure if we were truly safe. "I am now, but something strange happened that day. Hundreds of people surrounded my cage, shouting like savages. I was terrified and tried to kill myself before they did," Ava explained. "You tried to kill yourself?" I repeated in disbelief. "Let me finish." Suddenly, I heard the sound of a missile coming towards me, like a whistle. It was a small missile that shattered in its way, some pieces attaching to my cage while others fell to the ground. It released a shockwave that killed all the people around me within seconds. Then, my cage turned into ashes, and I was the only one left alive. "I still don't understand what happened," Ava concluded. I was surprised by Ava's story, but I believed her. I had so many questions, like who would do something like that? Did she remember from which direction the missile came? "I was facing that way," Ava pointed at the wall. Then, I remembered Carlson pressing a button on a screen just before he was shot. I saw Carlson pressing a button on a screen just before he was shot. "Maybe we can go back and find a clue there," I suggested. "Forget it, Jake. The place is burned down to its last atom," Ava replied. "Do we have a place to spend the night?" "It's getting dark and cold," I asked, trying to change the subject. "I see you're trying to skip the conversation, but you have a good point," Ava said with a laugh. "Yeah, it's too much to take in." "I just woke up after 4 days, and I'm starving," I replied. "Don't worry, I picked up some snacks on the way here. They're in that broken Jeep over there," Ava said. "You took them?" "That's funny," I said, laughing. "Yeah, but everyone around me was dead, so..." Ava trailed off. As we rummaged through the piles of garbage, our hands and feet sinking into the mounds of trash, we finally spotted a few candles lying amidst the debris. They were barely visible, coated in grime and dirt, but we carefully picked them up, wiping them clean as best we could. With a sense of relief, we covered the windows of the broken-down Jeep we had found, making sure that no light would escape from within. I fumbled in my pocket for my trusty lighter. We lit the candles. Their flickering flames cast eerie shadows on the piles of garbage surrounding us, grateful that we were at least somewhat prepared for the night ahead. As we stepped out of the Jeep, the sun beat down on us, the heat reflecting off the piles of garbage. The air was thick with the stench of decay, making it hard to breathe. Ava handed me a rusty old can filled with murky gray water, and I drank it down reluctantly, feeling its bitter, metallic taste wash over my tongue. We searched the piles for anything edible, but all we could find were rotting scraps of food and empty cans. Ava's hands were shaking as she opened a can of expired fruit, and I could see the mold growing on it. We had to eat anyway, as we knew we needed energy to keep going. "Now what?" Ava asked, her voice low and anxious. "We have a lot to figure out," I replied. Carlson was about to say something before we were attacked. "I'm curious to find out what it was." As we spoke, a deafening noise echoed through the air, like a blast door opening. The noise was so loud that it felt like the ground shook beneath us and the air around us quivered with an eerie intensity. It was as if the Great Wall itself was alive, with a sinister force pulsing through it. We looked up at the towering structure, feeling small and insignificant next to it, and waited anxiously for any sign of what was happening. The silence that followed was almost more unnerving than the noise itself, as we were left to imagine all the possibilities of what could be happening beyond the wall. "What was that?" Ava whimpered. "I have no idea," I said, my mind racing with possibilities. The usual bright lights that illuminated the believer's side of the wall were absent, leaving the area in complete darkness. It was as if the wall itself was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. We couldn't shake off the feeling that something was off, and our eyes darted around, scanning for any sign of danger. "Of course, something's not right," Ava said, her voice raising in panic. "Two drones are coming straight at us." The drones hummed with a menacing energy, their metallic frames glinting in the sunlight as they closed in on us. I could feel their cold presence looming over us, their rotors whirring like a swarm of angry bees. The wind picked up, carrying the acrid scent of burnt metal and ozone, and I knew that we were in grave danger. Our breaths came in short gasps as we darted through the piles of garbage, trying to outrun the whirring drones that circled us like vultures. The dull, gray landscape offered no refuge, no place to hide from the deadly machines. Their metal claws clicked menacingly as they closed in, trapping us in a deadly embrace. We were frozen with fear, knowing that our fate was sealed and that there was no escape. The guns were always watching, hidden somewhere in the walls of the Great Wall, waiting to strike at any moment. But why were they bothering with two kids like us? The answer was unclear, but we knew that we had to find a way out before it was too late. The drones landed with a thud, their metal frames scraping against the rocky terrain. We stood frozen, our eyes glued to the sight before us. The noise from their fans was deafening, and the dust they kicked up from the wind filled the air like a thick fog. As the doors creaked open, we could see the dim light inside, and our hearts raced with fear. Cyborg-like soldiers emerged, their mechanical limbs and glowing eyes scanning the surrounding area for threats. We were at their mercy, and we knew it. We were still in shock, our bodies trembling with fear. One of the soldiers approached us, his face was covered by a metallic mask, and his eyes glowed red like a predator. He towered over us, his muscles bulging under his dark armor. The soldier's hand reached for his weapon, and I flinched, expecting the worst. As he removed his helmet, revealing the most beautiful face we had ever seen, the light caught his eyes in a way that made them seem to sparkle like stars. His features were chiseled and sharp, and his skin was tanned and smooth. Our fear subsided, replaced by a mix of awe and curiosity. He was a strong, kind-looking man, and as he looked at us with a small smile, we couldn't help but wonder what was going on and why he had spared us. "What are you kids doing all the way out here?" he asked in a soft yet manly voice. Fearful of revealing our true intentions of reaching the survived land, we stuttered. We were just out for a walk. "Really?" he replied with a smile. "I'm pretty sure you guys are trying to break into the survived land." His statement caught us off guard. It was obvious that no one ventured near the Great Wall just for a casual stroll. "Kids, you know you can't break in. If you try, you will die. That's why we're here to give you a lift," he explained. We were amazed and extremely surprised. "What was that?" Ava blurted out, her mind filled with 1,000 questions. "You heard right," the man confirmed. "We're here to take you to the survived land." The man's words echoed in our minds, and we couldn't help but feel a mix of confusion and hope. His voice was calm and soothing, and we felt a glimmer of trust towards him. The wind blew the dust around us. We were unsure of what lay ahead, but we knew we had to follow the man if we wanted a chance to get to survived land. "But why?" I asked, seeking an explanation for this unexpected turn of events. "You'll see," he said, smiling. As the team scanned us, my heart raced with excitement and curiosity. I had so many questions, but I didn't want to interrupt their examination. Finally, the doctor spoke up. "It's a perfect match." The cyborg-like man nodded. "How about their faces and DNA?" "The results are on the way, sir," the doctor replied. "We don't want to drag too much attention from the believers, so let's move quickly." My mind raced with possibilities. Who were these people, and why were they so interested in us? As if reading my thoughts, the cyborg-like man introduced himself as a member of the Blue Alpha A10 rescue team. They were the best in Survive Land and had come to take us in. The doctor began to explain their mission, but the cyborg-like man interrupted with a smile. "Let's keep the fun part till the end." I couldn't contain my excitement any longer. "Fun part? What fun part?" The doctor's smile grew wider as she revealed that they had been tracking us since we were 9 years old, and they had finally found us. "We know about your story," she said. "Carlson sent us the footage of your conversations at the crashed plane site." I couldn't believe it. They had been watching us for years. And why did Carlson send them the footage? So many questions swirled in my head, but the cyborg-like man interrupted again. "We had to make sure you guys were the exact match. You're the most important thing to the mayor of Survive Land." As the gravity of the situation sank in, the cyborg-like man explained that they had turned off the entire defense system of the wall to get to us. "With the force field, no electric thing would work," he said. "But now we have to move quickly." Ava and I exchanged a glance, both of us too stunned to speak. This was beyond our wildest dreams. As we followed the rescue team, I couldn't help but wonder what awaited us in Survive Land. The drone towered over us, its metallic body glinting in the sunlight. Its rotors spun with a menacing hum, and the air around us whipped and churned with each rotation. I could see the intricate circuitry and wiring that powered the machine, and it was clear that it was a technological masterpiece. As we sat in the drone, the rescue team offered us crystal clear water, and I hesitated for a moment before taking a sip. It tasted unlike any water I'd ever had, and I looked at Ava with a puzzled expression. "Is this really water?" I asked the team, who looked surprised but nodded in confirmation. I took another sip, and it felt like a revelation. The water I'd been drinking my entire life was nowhere near as pure and refreshing as this. I drank 3 or 4 glasses of the water, and Ava drank the same amount, a look of wonder on her face. For the first time in our lives, we felt safe and protected. The water was pure and refreshing, quenching our thirst and rejuvenating our tired bodies. It was as if every drop of it was infused with magic, and we couldn't help but marvel at the taste. The interior of the drone was immaculate and futuristic, with glowing screens and buttons lining the walls. The team sat quietly, their attention focused on the mission at hand, while we sat in awe, taking in the surroundings. The team prepared the drone for takeoff, and I couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and fear. What awaited us in the Survive Land? Would we be able to adapt to this new world? As the drone lifted off the ground, I braced myself for what was to come. Me and Ava turned around and looked through the drone's window to see the beauty of Survive Land. We were super excited and still amazed by this whole situation.